Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. I know this one was kind of unplanned. I'm going to start doing more live streams in here like I used to, but gosh, life gets in the way. But today I wanted to talk to y'all about back to school wellness. It could also be like seasons changing wellness if you don't have school age kiddos anymore. And I can't believe it's back to school time again. We're actually on our second week of school. We went Thursday and Friday last year. And I know depending on where you are in the world, you may or may not be back in school or headed back to school, or maybe you've been in school for a week or two. So I do this information once a year, usually for back to school wellness. And it's because the average family gets 10 to 12 viral or bacterial infections per year. Now, that's not like one person gets 10 to 12. Usually what happens is one person gets 10 to 12 and then it spreads. So one family of 3 or 4 people can end up being sick all year long. That stinks, right? So it's definitely not something where you want to be keeping up with the Joneses. Hey, Donna. Hey, Tara. How are y'all? So I want to talk to you a little bit about just some basic strategies to keep your family well, because I'm often inundated with how can I keep from getting sick this winter? How can I avoid catching the flu? And I'll do some more flu information as we move on into that. I always hear, what supplement should I take when I have a cold or a virus or a bacterial infection? And then, of course, the ever-present, what natural remedy can I give myself, my kid, my partner, et cetera, for, X symptom or Y illness? So I totally understand that life and wellness are a balancing act, right? We're constantly like testing the limits, seeing just how far we can push things and still remain healthy. And that's human nature, of course. But when it comes to your family's wellness and avoiding somebody, I hope that is my delivery of gluten-free oats from Amazon. I don't know if y'all heard the doorbell ring. But when it comes to, your family's health and wellness, you don't want to be average, right? And it only takes just a wee little bit of forethought. So the best defense, of course, is a good offense, especially when it comes to your wellness. So I want to talk to you about a few simple and sustainable solutions that if you implement now, you can probably avoid getting caught up in that cesspool of germs that happen. The first one is eat for your immune system. Hippocrates, I can't speak, famously said, make food thy medicine and medicine thy food. And so when I'm bombarded with questions about what can I take for, it always starts with that foundational stuff, that foundational nutrition that you put in your body on a daily basis. Actually, not even on a daily basis, but zoomed out, like what you consume over the period of a week, by and large, is that really dense plant whole food, lots of veggies, or is it all out of a peel and pack package, right? So your immune system really starts with your nutrition. It's that 2,000 pounds of food that the average human puts in their body each and every year. Now, every illness, whether it's acute or chronic or bacterial or viral, starts and ends with inflammation. And that's why I talk a lot about eating as anti-inflammatory as possible. It's one of the reasons why I host foundational nutritional plans and group programs to show you that, eating in a way that's anti-inflammatory doesn't have to taste bad. It's not bland. It's not gross. Hi, Amy. Hi, Rachel. Hope everyone's having a great Monday. So it really starts with eating 5 to 8 servings of brightly colored fruits and veggies a day. Now, guys, there is no substitute for this. There's no quick fix, no pill or powder or potion or juice that takes the place of eating those 5 to 8 servings. They don't have to be organic, but they should be organic whenever possible. So a lot of times when I say it should be organic or that you should be eating 5 to 8 servings of whole plant foods each day, people say, well, gosh, that's cost prohibitive. That's expensive. But there's this handy dandy little thing called the Environmental Working Group. And they have a website that gives you the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. And so this is a link to the Dirty Dozen. And I'm putting it in the comments there. And then here's a link to the Clean 15. And these are the produce items that you want to pay particular attention to. For example, strawberries you'll find are on the Dirty Dozen list. So strawberries are not something that we can't buy organic strawberries in for a reasonable price. So if I walk into, and hint, if you have a Costco, that's the cheapest place to buy organic strawberries. But if I walk into Costco and organic strawberries, you know, the little package, I think it's a quart. If they're more than $3 probably for that quart, then we're not getting organic strawberries this week. You'll find that organic strawberries right now, because we're in the middle of strawberry season, they're really, really priced very closely to your standard strawberries, right? But if you try to buy organic strawberries in, I don't know, January, they're going to cost you $10 a quart, right? Because they're out of season, because they've had to be stored and shipped in a warehouse somewhere. So use that Dirty Dozen and Clean 15 list to your advantage. Broccoli is something I usually buy organic if I can, but if I really need the broccoli and it's not organic, then that's one that's not on the Dirty Dozen list. So that one is okay to buy non-organic. So the first thing to do to eat for your immune system, or that to provide that nutritional foundation, is to eat 5 to 8 servings of brightly colored fruits and vegetables a day. A lot of times people ask me, can I take a multivitamin instead of that? No, you can take a multivitamin if you want. But there, like I said, there is no pill or powder or potion or juice that makes up for this. The second thing is to reduce and then eliminate processed foods, artificial dyes, and sweeteners. Now, it's one thing if your little goes to school and there's a class party and like they have cupcakes. It wasn't too many years ago, like, gosh, it seemed like every day was a birthday party day in class. But don't trick yourself into thinking that these foods are less expensive. They are lacking in nutrients. Generally, the kids don't feel satisfied when eating them. Plus, they often lead to inflammation and illness. So in the end, it costs you more. It costs you more in grocery budget, and then you tack medical costs onto that. And then if you're a working parent, you tax staying home from school to take care of the kiddo, right? So I understand that getting rid of these processed foods, these artificial dyes and sweeteners, seem like a lot. But if you just start slowly, start one product at a time, it can be a really sustainable shift that helps so much more than just immune systems, right? Like if your kid's got learning issues or ADHD or anything cognitive going on, can't sit still. If they're drinking Gatorade and eating, you know, peel packs of like fruit by the foot and I don't even know other things, goldfish and all the things, then there's a heavy link there, a big link, right? But you will save money. And then you wonder, well, what can they have for a sweet tooth? Natural sugars, coconut sugar, maple syrup, dates, dark chocolate, fruit, honey. Encourage desserts from natural sources. Our very favorite thing is a banana sprinkled with cinnamon and drizzled with a little bit of honey. And then in the winter, we'll saute that in a pan, right? So the third thing, so one, we have eat 5 to 8 servings of vegetables. 2, we have eliminate processed foods, dyes, and sweeteners. 3, limit cow's milk and dairy or remove it altogether. And I know that's not a popular opinion. People have been heavily marketed to think that milk is where you get your calcium and you need milk for strong, healthy bones. That is absolutely false, okay? Milk is inflammatory in all people, right? But the difference is, where you find the difference is how inflammatory it is. So it causes a mucus reaction in all human suits. But in some people, it causes a little mucus reaction, and in some people, it causes a really big one. But in general, if you don't have seasonal allergies or you don't have an overt dairy sensitivity or allergy, you can enjoy some high-quality cheese on occasion, but by and large, swap that big glass of white milk for a good seed, nut, or pea protein milk variety. There's lots and lots of things on the market these days that are far less inflammatory and far easier on your immune system, and they don't really change the taste of your cooking. The fourth thing is to eat healthy fats. So push out the yucky stuffs, the vegetable oils, the canola oils, get rid of the soy oils that are causing all the inflammation, and replace it with nuts, seeds, avocados, and olive oils. So things like coconut oil, olive oil, and I think I said avocado oil, but avocados is a good fat, and so is avocado oil, right? And then lastly, add fermented foods. So you don't have to, swap all the water, and please don't swap all the water, but swap all the drinks that aren't water for kombucha or anything like that. But just weave some probiotic food, some fermented foods into your family's diet more routinely. So you can add sauerkraut, pickles, make sure you get the pickles without the dye in it, and you can see them on the shelves. And if you go to my Instagram at Audrey_Christie, you can see I have a comparison picture. It's real obvious which ones are actual pickles and which ones are pickles with green and yellow dye in them. Kimchi, these are all things that you can just kind of weave into the meal and add those little probiotic boosters. I like to say a lot of times it's not what you do on one day, it's what you do over a lot of days that makes a difference. So if you can add a little bit of that as often as you can, you'll make a big impact over time. Another thing to do is supplementation to keep your family's immune system healthy. And again, nothing beats that foundational nutrition. Tara says, nanny baby has been sick maybe twice in my care since age 2, now 3. I've been giving her nothing but organic and clean food. Beautiful. I love that, Tara. Hi, Holly. Thanks for joining. So let's talk about supplements. A lot of times, like I said, I'm frequently asked, what can I take to help with blank? And although there are lots of natural remedies that you can take to help lots of conditions, even to virus-proof your family, almost every supplement works better with that strong nutritional foundation. And nutrition is only one part of the foundation. You can think of the foundation like a 3-legged stool, where you have like nutrition, stress management, and sleep. All of those things come together to make a really solid foundation for all the other aspects of your health and wellness to build on. So I mentioned this a little bit before, but many traditional practitioners will recommend a daily multivitamin of some sort. Most often, especially if you're eating plenty of veggies and plenty of plants, a daily multivitamin is simply a waste of money. Now, if you want to, it's probably not hurting anything, but it's also probably not a good, if you're choosing a multivitamin over any other supplement, it might not be the best choice for you. There are some really expensive multivitamins on the market that don't do anything for the body. They don't necessarily hurt either, but again, supplements cannot replace a nourishing food, no matter what they say in their marketing. There are some supplement types, that some micronutrients, if you will, supplements that can be important for kids and adults, that no matter what brand you choose, it's not something that unless you're eating a really strict diet, you're going to get a lot of. And one of those is omega-3 fatty acids. Those are extremely important for adults and children. And depending on the size and age of the kiddo, the dose may be as low as around 500 milligrams, all the way up to 5,000 milligrams or more for adults. My kids, 11 and 8, I had to think about that, she'll be 9 very soon, take around 3,000 milligrams per day. Each child is typically different, so that amount may be too much or too little for your kiddo. If you're giving omega-3s, you can go all the way up to that 3,000 milligram mark if your kiddo weighs above 50 pounds. But if they start having loose stools, then that's a sign that you might need to back down a little bit. Liquid supplements are often the tastiest for the littles. There is a brand called Barleans, and I'll put that in the comments. Barleans Omegas. Key lime is the best flavor ever. My kids are still mad that they learned to swallow pills and they don't get this stuff anymore. But they have a really good omega-3 liquid for kiddos. And that has a whole lot of benefits, not just immune system. Vitamin D3, K2 is a really integral part of protecting your body via the immune system. The best way to get that vitamin D3 and K2 is 20 minutes out in the sun, at least 20 minutes out in the sun, without protection. So you don't have to be completely naked unless you have the place to do that, and then by all means do, but that means sunshine through a car window or through a building window doesn't count. Sunshine through sunscreen also doesn't count. So you want to make sure it is unmitigated sunshine to get that vitamin D3. Adults, you want to make sure your formula has the D3K2. Who's laughing at my naked comment? Hey, if you're out in the country, there are lots of people who advocate just going out, having a swim completely naked, but I don't live in an area where we could do that and get away with it. You do want to be careful. Vitamin D3, if you're supplementing it, is something that you can get too much of. So always be careful. That is a level that you want to have checked. And then lastly, so really the 3 important nutrients, probiotics, omega-3s, and vitamin D3. So lastly, we'll talk about probiotics. Every human, including infants, really need probiotics. Infants only need it after they're done breastfeeding, generally, if mom is doing a good job of having a good nutritional foundation, including probiotics. Most agree that 1 to 10 billion CFU, or colony forming units, are good for babies, 10 to 20 CFU for older children, and 30 to 50 billion CFU for adults. Again, taking probiotics, just like taking a multivitamin, it doesn't replace the need for fermented foods. They're important aspects of both for balanced and nourishing nutrition. But you also have to remember our health begins in our gut, and our immune system is a big part of that, as well as our physical and mental health. So probiotics, very, very important. So we've talked about nutrition foundation. We've talked about micronutrients, so supplements. And now let's talk about sleep. Sleep is critical for the immune system. You can learn about all the things that the body does in the sleep in my sleep episode, which was audreychristie.com/080. And I go through all the different supplements and things that you can use to help yourself get some sleep. But no TVs in the bedrooms, no screens 2 hours before bed. Make sure bedrooms are cold and dark, even if you have to sneak in there and turn off the lights after they fall asleep. And then routine. The hardest thing about going back to school is getting in that routine. So try to get to bed around the same time every night. Wake up around the same time every day, even on the weekends. Now, a few more hacks, and then I will let y'all go. Hey, Maria, happy belated birthday. I think it was yesterday, or sometimes social media is a day or two behind. So happy birthday. So movement is oh so very important. All humans need to be moving at least an hour a day. I think it's an NFL commercial, an hour play a day, but it's accurate. It doesn't have to be all at the same time, and it really should be outdoors. And if you can get out there barefoot, you even get bonus points. You can get your earthing done at the same time. Stress management, activities, schoolwork, all the stress and structure kids have every day, it can really take a toll on their immune system. So stress management is not just for the adults. Stress weakens all immune systems, right? And it can make your kiddos more vulnerable to catching viruses. And then if the kiddo brings it home and mom and dad are stressed, then it makes mom and dad more vulnerable to catching that virus. Hydration is also a really big one. And even mild dehydration stresses the body enough to weaken the immune system. So drink water. And Gatorade is not hydrating. So keep that in mind as well. If your kiddo's playing lots of sports, avoid the Gatorade. It's much more hydrating to give them water with a little sprinkle of pink Himalayan or other non-mineralized salt. If your kiddo doesn't like water, start by infusing some fruit in that water. It's really, really important over the family's lifetime journey for all the people in the family to really get to like the taste of just plain old regular water. But you can make spa water even for kiddos. And I found that when my kids were younger, when they kind of started wanting to, like maybe I don't want water when we go out to eat. If you let them pick what fruits they put in their water or what vegetables they put in their water, then they are much more likely to give it a try. 2 more things, and then I'll wrap it up. 2 things that we would not live without during the school year and before the school year. So we start about the first day of August with Thieves Essential Oil. We put it down our spines and on our feet every single day. And it's really good to help the body sort of build up that immune shield. Thieves Essential Oil. The second thing is elderberry reishi elixir. Now because we have autoimmune issues in our family, I like to use the reishi elixir because it has the adaptogenic mushrooms in it. And so I think it's important to get both of those at the same time. However, if you are local to Lake Dallas, I think, and Rachel, if you're still on here, correct me if I'm wrong, and there might be another order going in if you're too late, but if you just want plain elderberry syrup, then they do have that at our local center at Essential Healing in Lake Dallas. So if you need that information, then you can put it in there, and I will get it for you or get you connected with Rachel so you can get all the things. But these are really, really important to have on hand. We also start taking this elderberry reishi elixir once a day now. We started really August 1 because we traveled, but start taking it once a day now. And then if you feel something coming on, up that dose over and over and over again. What about the Mios? I don't know what you mean. What about the Mios? Amy, can you clarify? So I'm asking Amy. I'm not sure what she's talking about. Tara says preschool is lathering the kiddos with hand sanitizer before they are allowed to go to the classroom to combat illness. So, and Tara says, what's my opinion? Well, I generally don't like hand sanitizer, even the stuff made with all the good ingredients. Part of the problem with our immune system these days, just collectively as a society, is that we're not exposed to the germs that we used to be able to. Now, I'm not saying after you go potty, you shouldn't wash your hands. And so there are a few caveats when you're dealing with kids of a certain age. So one, my problem with hand sanitizer is that generally it's full of toxic things. When you put it on preschoolers, they tend to put it in their mouth, not to mention it gets absorbed through the skin. When you apply hand sanitizer, if the hands are not already clean, it's not doing a lot of good. So hand sanitizer is useful to sanitize clean hands, but it's not useful to clean the hands, if that makes sense. So a lot of times people get a false sense of security by hand sanitizing everyone. My kids run from it like the plague, and I've even heard my 8-year-old tell somebody that she's allergic to hand sanitizer. Because we don't do that. If we have active dirt on our hands, then we wash our hands. Otherwise, it's really good to be exposed to all the different bugs and germs. Oh, it's the flavoring you put in water. Yes. Okay. Full of red food dye. Avoid it like the plague. Avoid it like the plague, especially if you have kids who have behavioral challenges or ADHD challenges or other learning, cognitive, paying attention issues. Avoid Mio like the plague. I think it also has artificial sweetener in it, like maybe Splenda. Let me see. And maybe they've cleaned it up, but used to, when it first came out on the market, yeah, Red 40, Brilliant Blue F1, and now stay away from it. Sucralose, which is Splenda. Yeah. So no, Mio's a no-go. Tara says, thank you. I was almost expelled last year. Please don't get expelled from the preschool. I feel like you would be in trouble. Terry says, do I use Thieves straight or with a carrier oil? Thieves can be spicy and hot, especially for littles. I am also relatively, if you ask my husband, he'd say cheap, but I like to say budget conscious. So in some areas, in other areas, I'm like, spend all the money. So it depends. Prophylactically, we will do Thieves in a carrier oil. I like to use fractionated coconut oil, or frankly, when I'm out of that, I just use whatever I have on hand, olive oil, avocado oil, whatever I have. I put it in a roller bottle. That makes it easier to roll it on. Now, Young Living also has some roller caps that you can put on, and my Thieves doesn't have it on there because I generally use it in a mix. Now, if somebody is sick in my house, which, knock on wood, doesn't happen very often, but if somebody is sick in my house or if we feel something coming on, then I might pull out just straight Thieves and apply straight Thieves. But I don't do that often. That's the exception, not the rule. Amy says, good to know. I'm glad you do. Let's see, Heather joined. Hi, Heather. Let's see. So we're talking about back to school stuff. Again, the most important thing is that foundational nutrition is one of the parts of the three-legged stools to really get you on the right track. So if you guys come back and see this on the replay, you have more questions, just let me know. I always come back in and answer the questions. We're going to be changing up some things in the wellness circle. So the announcements, as soon as I get those done, will be kind of the place to find everything. I'll pin this in the announcements for now. Next week when I come back, I'll be talking about medications that are prescribed and over the counter that have consequences, right? So when we take medications that are intended for short-term use, like prednisone, like metformin, like diuretics, like Advil, when we take those things routinely or on a regular basis, what the consequences are of those. We're going to look at some of those over the next couple of weeks, starting or kicking off our autoimmune series. Also, you'll see 2 new things fall into wellness up in the announcements coming up this week, as well as a meal planning service. If you're back to school, things are crazy, you don't have time. A lot of times the biggest hurdle is like, you should be eating gluten-free, you should be avoiding dairy, you should be doing all these things for your family, but you sit down and you look at Pinterest and there's 55,000 pins of all these things that you should do. And then you have to find the thing that fits your family and fits all their needs and their likes, and it becomes a mess. And so what do? You revert back to the stuff you've always done, right? You drive through Chick-fil-A, you drive through Sonic, or you grab a box of mac and cheese, and unfortunately, that contributes to issues. So I'll be offering meal planning, and Wellness Circle people will get a discount on those. So it'd be family meal planning, 3 meals for your family, taking into consideration sensitivities, allergies, chronic issues, all that good stuff. So I will be back next week, and I'll try to find a good time that works for everyone. I'm not sure what that looks like yet, but I'll be back next week with that information. In the interim, if you need anything, questions, I'll be here. Hope you have a great rest of your Monday. Be well.